Hello, hello. Well, that seems like that went pretty good. Um, I have surprises today and lots to talk about, considering the tech issues I was overcoming from yesterday. So, one quick bit about the new setup. I've made it so that way the active stream screen is a little bit larger, and that mirror that holds the messages is a little bit smaller. Of course, a lot of this is new. You didn't see that in previous streams because I was still figuring out what I wanted for MerMay. So that was an interesting work in progress. And then I did a small bit of animation, which we should be seeing in about a minute or so here. I don't know if I maybe chose a little too much time in my tweaks for the animation. I can only reset it like once, and I wanted to make sure that it's present when I switch over to this screen. So the frame that you see around the edges that's on the other messaging screens, that stays put in the other screens, but on the active stream, it's actually animated, and it's going to pull away, hopefully slowly. This is the first time I'm testing it live. It might need a couple more frames added to it, but that's stuff that I can do later. Frames of animation. So just to go ahead and clarify. So yeah, that's going to magically drop off in just a moment, and I'm tempted to wait and see it to see if it's smooth enough for what I'm looking for. But I also want to get on with the stream, especially because I'm trying to combine in 2 days worth of content because of all the tech issues I had yesterday. I troubleshot for a little over half an hour to go ahead and figure out why I couldn't stream. And ultimately, after all of that, I'll show you my hands. I'll wave my hands for you. But ultimately, after all of that, I was so tied up and frustrated that once I had things working just okay, I was not feeling in a good frame of mind where I would be like good company to you. I felt like I would carry a lot of aggression, and that's not what I want to do with this drawing series. So I chose not to stream yesterday because of all those difficulties. Normally, once a week, I do a change out, which is why you'll see them get kind of gnarly towards the end of the week, because I really only give myself one day where I'm not handling anything long enough to let them dry. So, yeah. I thought these were mermaid-ish colors, at least. The blue and the teal are very watery, and then, I don't know, the purple just seemed like this was actually fuchsia, not purple. But I thought that would be a nice accent. And then there's a glittery top coat that I did because I'm a glutton for punishment. I hate taking off the glitter, but it seemed perfect for this month, or at least for this week. Yeah, following up my previous glittery coat with more glitter, but this one's actually in theme, so it's just LA colors, mermaid magic. I don't know if I'll get my autofocus on here. There we go. But it's a very iridescent, wonderful top coat, and I like that over my metallics. Hey, there goes my frame. Alright, so now that frame's going to stay out of the way, so we can see a little bit more of the screen, and I could still have my little decorative panel thing because, I don't know, I like those fun little details. Apparently my beverage is in range today. I'm going to go ahead and wet this brush because this doesn't really look the best if it's all splayed out, which it gets a little splayed out once in a while. But so I have a stack over here of different media as far as how I'm going to be using ink during the course of this month. And I wanted to go ahead and gloss over that. Yeah, I want to go ahead and gloss over that just a touch. Some of these brushes, like if you were following me last month, you'll know that this is my number 8 round. I beat the daylights out of this brush as far as using it for watercolor, but it is also a very low cost brush that I do use for acrylic too. I don't mind that because it's honestly falling apart. I don't know if you can see it here, but I'm actually like spinning the metal ferrule. I can't wait until this thing pops off so I can go ahead and just re-glue it back onto the handle. Nothing's wrong with the handle, other than these two pieces are tangentially joined. But yeah, so I have a couple brushes here. Just these are some of the ways that I'm going to be working with ink over the course of this month. These are the brushes that I don't mind using on acrylics. I tend to do watercolors. I tend to keep the brushes separate, except for in the case of like really cheap brushes, or brushes that I really only use once in a blue moon, like this script liner. I'll use this script liner both with watercolor as well as with acrylic. I do take really good care to clean the brush thoroughly, so it's in water as soon as it's done, rinsing it out. I also have Brush Cleaner Preserver by Masters. I feel like this song is competing just a touch. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. I hope it's not by too much. Because to me, I just see the music length is showing up at like all the way across up until it's about to be like yellow where it's distorting and whatnot. So I hope it's not too loud. I am going to hop over to Twitch just to see if anybody's saying hi while I'm going ahead and grabbing other media. I have a collection of nibs. The rest of the nibs are not on my desk where they're handy right now, because right now this is my favorite. It's a nice flexible nib, so you can see when I'm pressing down on it that it splays out a good bit. I'll move that in, try to get the camera to focus a little better. There we go. You can see that nice difference, and that way when you press down, you get varying pressure. You can even use this slightly to its side to go ahead and get some really fine lines. Your ink's got to be in a good flow state for that too. Other tools. I have a good bit of Pitt pens at this point. These are from a set, which is buried under my notebook. This is a great set if you're going to only get one set of Pitt pens. I would tend to recommend this one if you like brush markers, as well as some fine detail and a bullet tip. So it's all ranges of grays and black, so it's a nice flexible set. Also, you can go ahead and get the plain pack of, I think it's 4 or 6, and it'll be a variety of the black ones, different nib sizes and brush tip. I don't think the bullet's in that one. It might be in some of them, but not something I specifically sought out more of. I have a couple other sets in different colors, like I have the sepia wallet set. I forget if that's 4 or 5, which is why I'm forgetting if the black one was 4 or 5. Or 6 even. Jeez, it's been a little while since I bought these. You obviously don't need all of these. These are not requirements. It's just these are some of the things that I'm going to be using since I am focusing on pen and ink techniques for this month. So there may be a time where I'll add a little bit of color. My primary focus is to mostly work with line work and be very, very selective with color, more like using color as the line work rather than actually coloring things in. Even though that said, I probably will be bending that a little bit. I have such a wonderful, like, full idea for day 2's prompts, which, again, I'm really, like, aching that I didn't do those yesterday, just because of those tech issues. This is day 1. We had Flower, Mermaid, and Lighthouse. We had the mermaid climbing over these rocks. The only thing I've changed on this since the actual day of the stream is I added some scales to her tail, just to go ahead and give a little bit more depth and texture. So it was a very subtle addition. I'll probably clean up part of this tail in Photoshop. That is driving me nuts. I'm actually going to go see how bad it is. Erase my pencil lines. It still makes me a little crazy, but that's okay. This was a lot of fun. Nothing's perfect. You know, moving on. So I already have the prompts written down for music, siren, and circus. Those are prompts from day 2. For day 3, there's penguin, sea witch, and poison. I'm not sure where I want to go with that yet, so I figure I'd start with day 2 and see how far we get. And then I might be still catching up on day 3s in tomorrow's stream, so it might just be a slightly heavier load for a day or two while I catch up, because I'm not trying to have everything going off schedule. And quick beverage break on talking a whole lot. It was a pretty smooth transition. I think I'm going to rescale the mirror in the other frames. I'm not sure yet. There's something I'm working on, just changing some things around from how I did them last month. So, here and there, a couple little different things. I'm going to get my book out of the frame here, so I think that's kind of taking up a good bit of space. Probably shouldn't close that because I tend to refer to the prompts as I go. Just going back to what the next day's prompt is. Sometimes I'm a mess. Hopefully it's entertaining to watch my mess. Alright, so that's going over here. I think I am going to bring out the tone blue, because I'm kind of thinking that might be fun for our penguin prompt for tomorrow, is to work on the blue. So I have black, and then I'll bring in white either through like bleed-proof white or some gel pen or even some ink, because I do have ink. That was the other thing I was going to show you before I really get started today. And a whole lot of kind of interstitial stuffs that I hadn't quite articulated on day 1. So I have a lot of random stuff, and I should have dusted a little bit. There's this light coat of dust on my stuff. Awesome. I'm a professional. Alright, so I have a few different sets of Liquitex. These are probably my go-tos. I used to have the full metallic set, and that got lost in a move. Long story. But anyway, after then I've been building up again with getting my inks together. I still have the black ink from the original set of the metallics, the 6-piece set. It had a black and a white. So I had the black from that. That's why I was interested in the Muted collection for its colors, as well as when they did the re-release instead of the limited edition. The re-release, they include a bottle of white. I don't know why bottle was just jumped out of my brain, but this range of colors is really interesting, and I think it will be great for portraying a lot of our ocean-y characters. So that's one thing. This transparent set, if you're working with a lot of like machinery or earthy subjects, very, very perfect for like a steampunk. I would recommend the transparent set. I also like to do just bold line work that has variations in color. So some elements one color, some elements a different color. I don't know if you've seen my profile image, but that uses a variety of colors. So here's a couple metallics. I have my 3-color metallic set is put away at the moment. I don't really plan on breaking out the metallics, but I brought this out because the other 2 are transparent raw umber, so that gives me a really deep, cool brown, and purely maroon, which is a fantastic deep red. if you're only going to have one color and you like muted tones, that is just gorgeous. So that's purely maroon. And even with the yellow cast, it's just so fun. But yeah, the pigment settles down onto the bottom, so you'll find that you need to shake a lot of pigments, especially the white. It's a titanium white. You'll be shaking that one for like, start working on it like the day before. So that way it's a little bit easier when it comes to the day of. And you have to go ahead and shake that. I've been thinking about getting one of those lab things where it like tilts the vials to stop blood from coagulating for test tube samples. I would love to have that for my inks. So that way I pop them on that thing. They're gently being, stirred side to side, just tipped and rhythmically, and it'll mix up the pigment for me. So, yeah, these are all, you can apply them with either the nib, or like calligraphic pens or dip pens, however you want to call them. Do not put them in actual fountain pens though. Acrylic will dry and it will mess up your fountain pen. Don't do it. Strongly, hardcore no. Or if you do, be warned that you need to clean everything out very, very thoroughly because you will mess up your stuff. I also have this angle brush, not an angle brush, a flat brush. So, a couple different options. And of course a palette for diluting colors and for mixing up other colors. So I do that on occasion too, as well as these are just general things I keep on my desk. I have the rubbing alcohol more so for cleaning. I tend to use it more with when I'm doing polymer clay to clean up from it. Don't use rubbing alcohol with your watercolors, or at least use it tactically. There we go. It can cause some really unusual effects, and doing like a splatter is really interesting on paper. After you've painted a wash, to go ahead and spray in some alcohol, but mixing the colors with alcohol, it creates very, very weird clumpy separations. Don't do it. Can you tell I tried that? And then of course, plain spray bottle of water sometimes. That's really handy for the acrylics to go ahead and thin stuff out. So that way the color shows up a little bit better. Sometimes you want a lighter value with your line work, so that way it doesn't wind up being too dark and concentrated. And just a general idea, you can go to a dollar store to get these. This is, let's see, some of this is acrylic ink, some of this is regular acrylics. But get a set, I think there were 5 in a pack from the dollar store. So I think that was Dollar Tree, their Crafter's Corner thing. So, just stuff to mix with. I might even go in with like watercolor washes for swiping on some metallics, or even the acrylic inks with the metallics. I might accent some of these things later. I don't think I would do any of that on camera necessarily, unless I had plenty of time to be adding accents. Day one, I kind of found myself like kind of stretching to do more for like the last 20 minutes. Today, that's probably not a problem because I've already talked for almost 20 minutes about what's going on with the arc of this month. So, randomness. But yeah, so that's this month. So let's get on with music, Siren, and Circus. This might be more sideshow than circus. I count it as maybe like circus sideshow. But the immediate thought I had was one of those big water tanks. Kind of remind me of like Houdini. So I'll probably come back in with a ruler to go ahead and sharpen these edges, but right now I just want to go ahead and put in some general design. This is the first one I used, and the glue didn't stay to hold the rest of this to the backing, so I just deal with it. It's the only negative thing that I don't like about glue-bound pads is sometimes that happens, and it's a bit of a nuisance to deal with it. If I were tossing this in my bag for like working on off and on, what I would do is when I close the cover, I would add binder clips to the sides just to hold everything secure. You may occasionally hear my daughter in the background. See, I want this tank to be like center stage, but I also want enough background that you can kind of have an idea of what's going on. So I don't want to just be like, that's it. Yeah, I want to play a little bit with composition. I'm figuring, kind of looking up at the stage a little bit. And this area over here, coming across. And then either I want some stage lights. I know, I want to see like some, kind of like a vaudeville kind of thing. Well, I most certainly messed that up. So this is one of those things where I recommend go ahead and look around to have a general frame of reference, but don't get married to those things. Oh, there are so many different shapes. These like little shell lights, which is absolutely perfect. There's a lot of variations for that. I love that. Alright, so I'm just going to do a roughed out shape. They might not even be centered. We'll see how bad that irks me or not. I tend to be particular about some of these things. I try not to be. I probably should straighten this line out before I'm really solidifying it. I'm not adding all the texture and whatnot, I'm just trying to get a general shape for placement. So that's one of the big things about this series too, is you're seeing more of me drawing and the whys of why I'm doing the things I'm doing. As Mr. Gibbs says, reason's got nothing to do with it. That's definitely not the right angle. Well, close enough. Close enough for concept work. Alright, so we have a nice big tank here. I want to make sure that I have, I don't know, maybe stripes in the background. So I am not very good with markers. I am terrified of doing more than just line work with them. I feel like that is definitely not my strong suit. I feel like it's not really a circus unless you have stripes somewhere. It's too wide for this pattern, but I should probably do wider. I don't know. I'll fix the pattern later. My camera's already reeling. It's on 2 bars battery when it said it was full. So to be fair, it goes from like the third bar is like half. So it always suddenly seems to drop. Alright, make it sound like my battery's crazy. It's like, no. No, it's more like I had my camera on briefly another day and it's registering that little bit of battery is gone now. Alright, so generally blotting this in. Yeah, this is actually kind of funny today. So after I saw like Circus, I was very much so thinking like, ooh, that tan is going to be perfect because it's going to give this like a vintage feel like right off the bat. The weird texture kind of throws me a little. I don't know how I feel about that texture yet. Anyways, we have our Siren in here. What I'm looking for is not here. I was looking for a specific image. I had a specific idea for visually what I'd see for this water tank, and it's taken me just a second to find that. Oh, my lights are sketched really kinds of blocky there, aren't they? Alright. Let's hop over to Twitch. Say hi. Ah, hey Rowdy Robbie. How are you? What do you think? Not a whole lot of ramble starting off the stream. Alright, that needs to be out of the way. So I am here. I'm just trying to figure this out. I have some specific screenshots from a few favorite movies. So, while I'm not going to go ahead and list them, because I don't know, I'm using these as inspiration, so it shouldn't matter. But I don't even know if I have what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to skim, and no, I don't. I don't have what I'm looking for. Ah. That's alright. I do just have a random library of some specific movies. These are some of my favorite movies. Just captured some screenshots from a few of them, just because there was something that was visually interesting or unique as far as color palettes, costuming. I really love movie costuming, so stuff like that. But what I'm looking for is not on here. Apparently I was less interested in that scene, so I did not take a screenshot of it. And that is okay, I will figure it out. Alright, so while I'm rambling about that, I am going to caffeinate some more, and I will figure out the next step for our Siren. So, after giving that some thought, let's see. Actually, while I'm thinking of it, I forgot to ask. Nice. Good to see you. What did you think of the animation? I don't know if you you caught the frame animation on the main streaming bit. So, it's a friend of mine who I let him know I was going to try some animation, and I think that turned out kind of neat. So, besides the point, trying to figure out our Siren for this, which really my brain just kind of combines mermaids and sirens together. So there's that. I feel like I have mixed thoughts about being just in the tank or leaning up over the top to sing. So like the rest of the composition I was pretty well set on. Probably do some lights here and there. Just kind of off kilter. Go ahead and plot those in real quick. I don't like how that one's hanging. I don't want them to be perfectly offset from each other. I want them to be a little off kilter, but I want it to be an interesting line too. I think that'll work. I think so. I'm gonna look at that again. I know I'm spending a lot of time on the background, and it's like, let's get a mermaid on here. Special shout out for my friend joining us, even though he's not a mermaid fan. I'll call you out there. That's okay. I'll show you the animation later, or you can catch it when I upload to YouTube. Just skip the first 5 minutes of the video, because otherwise it'll seem like it's taking ages, because I normally start 5 minutes early. So yeah, anytime you hop on to catch the stream after it's live, or catch it when it's on YouTube, just skip the first 5 minutes, because that's just, in 99% of the time, that's just waiting time, because they start the stream 5 minutes early in case people want to jump on, give a time for systems to like send notifications out. So, fun stuff. My brain is in a couple different places. Also, I do want to say, thank you so much for my new subscriber on YouTube. So while I'm rambling, someone I don't know just joined me. It's kind of a strange, happy feeling for me, because it's not something that I've done before. But it's just someone else finds my stuff of value, and because my channel is so new, it doesn't have tons and tons of content from over the course of months and whatnot. That is really, really nice. I'm going to start fixing some of these lines. I'm pretty set on what the composition is. It's just figuring out what I'm doing with this mermaid. So I might move the tank down a little bit, so that way she can easily be like singing from the top of it. Or I may go ahead and just have her in the tank, but because the prompt is music, I feel like I want to convey her singing. I kind of feel like these pattern lines are going to be just kind of heading up and slowly disappear out of the frame. I'll probably change where the tank is compared to this this pattern line. I should actually continue these through the tank. The water would distort it to some degree. So I'll do this one up here. And we'll do slightly to the side. So that's going to be our distortion. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have the frame from the tank that I'm going to be putting in. You have to let me know what you think of the new music. I don't know. I think that line actually went crooked. Let me switch this around. It's easier for me to match up where the inch mark is at the top of the paper. See if I go really crooked. Yes, I did. Little stuff, man. Little stuff. Could probably say, like, that's the distortion, but, no. And that's taken me years to be able to just spot something that little being that. I think I erased the wrong line. Yeah. So I could spot something being crooked, but I have the memory of a goldfish. I erased the wrong side. Nice. Yeah, it is a bit more epic than I was probably aiming for. I wanted something that would be... I don't know. Like, I could probably just listen to Pirates of the Caribbean as far as, like, my musical tastes for this whole month and be happy. However, copyright's a thing. So they will not just, quote-unquote, YouTube would not be happy with me using other people's material, which is absolutely fair of them. But, I mean, doesn't that help make everybody else money? Like, talking about how great soundtracks are for movies and whatnot? Like, I don't know. I think that would be convincing people to go ahead and buy these soundtracks and whatnot. I hope that's far enough off. Great, so what you might not be able to see, because I'm coming way off a frame again. The battery's prompting me that it's low again. Is that I'm using the inch mark. A little further over. Hold on. We'll zoom in. Zoom in. Right. So for getting these straight lines without having them getting crooked, what I'm doing is I'm lining up an inch, because it's the longest line there, and I'm basically seeing, does that look straight? Like it's going to go straight through and align with the top edge. So since that appears straight, then that means that this line is going to be straight. You can also use a T-square. I do have one on my desk. It is actually in the pile under my desk that needs to be sorted. So, that's why I don't have it on my desk right now. I do also have a ruler that has a nice cork backing, which makes it great for inking edges. That's something I don't use very often. But if you're going to use any type of pens or markers that are very juicy, like, you know, you touch the paper and you practically have it just the ink bleeding out, those are great for bringing that ink edge in to go ahead and use for straight edges with those. I think I've deviated from my pattern a touch. I didn't do any measurements for this. This is all eyeballing. And you know what? This probably would have been like a hand-painted banner too. So if I were detailing this, I would be giving this like a canvas texture. Oh, I could have actually had that hanging and put a nice sag in it and some distortion on the lines. You know what? That's okay. How far are we? Oh, geez. I only have 20 minutes left. So much for getting caught up on today's prompt as well as yesterday's. So I'm probably going to just be a day behind for a day or two. Oh well. The point is that it's fun. And that it gets me drawing every day. Those are the main points that I wanted. So as long as I'm hitting that, I'm okay. I hope that you guys are happy and that you'll be interested to see what I do. Towards the end of the month, the challenge will get a little less specific because one of the prompt lists that I have for Dark MerMay actually ends like a week early. I think I distorted those all in the right direction. I hope so. Alright, so we have lights up here, we have a stage, we have part of a tank, I have a pattern that I have not inked in. Dang thing. But I do feel better having like a formal, this is MerMay for me. So I can't say I'm unhappy about that. Wow, that line was just so crooked. I don't know why I'm cleaning up so much line work, because I really don't need to. And then we'll go the other way around for this line. Just go ahead and finish off our pattern here. Ooh. Stick to the guide. Every once in a while, my pencil just wants to do crazy things. That is far too wide for this pattern, isn't it? Yes, it is. Great. So let's get rid of you. This line's all crooked. That shouldn't be. Here, I was thinking my lines were all crooked as far as what I was sketching, but no, it's me with the ruler. I managed to get this one all crooked. Alright, well, I don't know if that makes me feel better or not. I'm trying to, like, rush and make up time. Here I am, messing up my lines. Okay, so let's try this again. We got this part of the pattern. Right here. This part of the pattern should be right about there. Much better. Yes, my sketch line was a bit wonky, but I wasn't worried about that. I was just more so placing that line. I had a general idea for spacing. Stop fussing with it. We need to finish up with the pencil stuff. Oi! Alright, so let's see this all come together. This would be a great time for a time lapse where it's just wave a wand and everything's done. I do feel like I want her to have a tank singing. Move her this way a little bit. Sorry. This is one of those, I had a general idea as far as the overall concept, pretty secure in my head, but now as far as execution, I'm just kind of a little bit all over the place. So in the meantime, I'm going to putter around with some of these other details. And part of me doing this challenge is to work on my speed, so I am, I'm still going to have times where I'm not going to have everything just decided and snapped up right off the bat. Sometimes things take a little bit of time to develop, and it's just something that you gotta see. I really want this to have like some dynamic shading with all that stuff going on. And I really want the bottom edge of this stage to be just dark. So dark. Be kind of a vignetted scene because of the darker shading that I would picture going up here where the lights are. This is one of those, I might not get the line work done on camera. I might have to be doing this off camera. I do actually have some time later today that I can put into this. I'm gonna leave those lights alone because I don't like the spacing of them. That's a detail that can be done later. Boy. Just one of those weird things where it's like I want a bunch of different things at once. For me, this is kind of like not a static image. I think that's where my problem is with trying to work on her. Like one hand right here. To turn a little bit. And as always, thumb check. Thumbs point towards the head. Always keep your thumbs pointing towards the head. If they're splayed out like this. There's some more delicate wrists than that. This is not right. I will work on that. I'm just trying to get a general idea as far as where her body is, and then I will work on the details more. This is very much so foreshortened to being back here. Like you can barely see that part of her arm because of where the hand is positioned. I'm just doing the mitten thing in general for right now. I'm figuring it out. No, that's not. I mean, it's accurate as far as like a head shape, but it's not. Not how I wanted this to be. I want it to be like her head is tilted a little bit. She's just kind of looking out at the crowd, confused. I feel like that's a little too tall. A little thrown off on her facial features, doing them a little high because of how long her ears are, as far as just general proportions. Normally, a section where your eyes and your nose are is covered by the distance of the ear. And I probably could zoom in a touch more. Go ahead and work on her. Hopefully that's going to go ahead and stay in focus. And I'm going to check on our playlist to make sure that I don't just have a really quiet track ending. And that is the end of that one. Alright, so let's jump over to this song. I'm not trying to do too much of that. Kind of indicate some anatomy. And I will dress her as I go. Things are a bit buoyant. I'm gonna figure out where the sternum is. I haven't decided where the rest of her body is. That'll probably be helpful before I'm really working on this view. Maybe the body is kind of coming down spiral. This curve doesn't really work for where her spine is because I figure this is where her tail is. So maybe kind of like that for where the hip line would be. This arm is still in sore need of correction. And we have 5 minutes. So apparently I'm not doing ink on this one, and I'm further behind than I was before we started. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. Do I want to continue doing this ink on camera, or should we move into the day 3 prompts for next time, and I'll just ink this one off camera today, which is kind of where I'm at right now. And this should be higher for where the shoulder is at. Even though that was good as far as portraying where your ribcage would be. Maybe that stretched down this way. And that's not right. This should be higher up still. Yeah, I'm bending this body in all kinds of ways where it probably should not be able to bend. I mean, it is a fantasy creature, but at the same time I also want to have some realistic traits. Maybe some fins. I'm torturing this anatomy, and my battery just decided to be done with it. I have my backup battery ready to go, so that's already in. That'll be back up in just a second here. Alright, and then I don't know why I'm so stuck on the rest of this torso. Maybe it's just this freaking line in the way. I don't know. Let's go ahead and work out the jawline and get that corrected because this is not straight. I don't know why this is rounded. I do generally follow some of the elongated features for a lot of mystical creatures like elves and whatnot. I feel like her body would just be really odd, twisted. You know what? Maybe that's why that ribcage is supposed to be up there. This one's further down here. Now it comes around here. No, not that way. I think. Poor tortured pose for this mermaid. Siren. I definitely conflate the two. I'm not going to leave the ribs there, but trying to figure out why this pose was as tortured as it was leaving that there so I can see what I was doing wrong. So we have this part of the body's here, this part of the body is like here. And notice the hips more on this side because of how the body is canted out. And she's going to have a very long tail compared to yesterday's. Well, I should say day one's prompt. She's Me too's prompt, so I guess yesterday's. Time is relative. Also figuring out where I want this tail to end up. So, because there's no actual leg joints, that's why this isn't following any sort of anatomy there. It's more like an eel, I guess. Just individual circular bones for the spine. I want the tail to be kind of like long and flowy, like really long wispy fins, maybe something like an angelfish or something. Here, I think I'm gonna have it go really broad and out behind her. Maybe that is part of the center fins here. Maybe I did have an idea and I was just gesturing. There's nothing wrong with just gesturing some lines and seeing where you need to get to. So I'm going to have that be a little kind of a flowy edge, and I even want that to trail back here. Which is paradoxical for these fins that I have coming off her elbows. These seem very sharp and pointed. I do want to include something kind of sharp and pointed down here, like off the edges of the hip, where it's like dark and dangerous. Almost like the spines from like a lionfish, maybe. Just to be a little dramatic. That's one thing that this challenge is really going to push for me, is making really gentle curves. Things that we do for ocean creatures. Alright, so we have this coming back here. Fix our line for our pattern. I'm going to leave some of the pattern here, like the tail is somewhat translucent, I think. But not back here. I want this to be solid. Thicker material. And this contrast of these shapes are somewhat translucent, these shapes are not. Alright, so we are already past time. I'm going to knock this down a bit. I think I want to keep some really subtle line work as far as where her ribs are. Maybe the circus is not treating her well. It's an unfortunate reality in some places. But also that I think it's interesting visually for storytelling. Go ahead and zoom out. Just gonna wrap this up for today. You know, it's definitely not where I anticipated I was going with all of this. Yeah, so we have her, palms pressed to the glass. Maybe some circular type spots on her hand to show where the pressure is making contact with the glass. I don't know if you've seen that. I actually have a sheet of glass. So it's sitting up on my shelf. And just so you can visually see, oh wow, this is dusty. So I've saved this sheet of glass because a friend of mine was crafting a picture frame, something with a picture frame, and she didn't need the glass for it. And I was like, ooh, I'll take that. Because with polymer clay, a lot of times you can go ahead and bake on glass, but this is just to give you a visual. So you can see here, I angle my hand a little bit, you can see these areas that wind up being flattened out. And those I'm going to include in the line work to show that her hand is indeed making contact with glass. Because those are interesting things. Interesting little details. Which is probably more detail than I went into with day one's prompt. I'm kind of letting this particular prompt kind of take over. I think that's because I really like the circus, to be honest. Oh wow, I'm getting myself into so much trouble putting this sheet of glass back. It's not want to go. Gently! Gently! Alright. So, yeah, that's where we got to today. Which is not where I wanted to be. I am pretty set that I am going to keep working on this a bit. I have some ideas as far as like actually a finished composition, and I am having a lot of fun with this one. So there's that. Hopefully this was not a disappointment watching it get to this point. Oh yes. Back to what I was saying about tomorrow's prompt, Penguin Sea Witch Poison. Given how much time I spent on process for today, just in laying this out in pencil, I'm kind of debating, like, do I want to just poof this is done in ink? Do I want to start doing some pencil work for that? Let me know what you guys think. I would really love to hear your comments and opinions on, should I do more pencil process, or should I go ahead and skip to the inking? Because if we're just skipping to the inking, wrong one. If we're just skipping over to the inking process, then what I can do is I can try to blot out the other one in pencil as well, and we can try to do just double line work tomorrow to go ahead and make up for this. I can't really spend more time live on video with this right now, because I do try to wrap up within an hour, and I'm already 8 minutes over. So let me know your thoughts, and I will be seeing you tomorrow, so looking forward to your comments. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as always, keep drawing.